That could be you. You might not be the candidate, but you might be the person who helps on the executive. Or maybe you're the person who helps put up lawn signs. Or you're helping with an event because you're big and beefy and you can do security. I mentioned how I had people in my campaign who were, I didn't use this term, but I'll tell you now, they were called third-party Confederates. They're like spies. And it's really helpful for you when you're on a political campaign. And if this is something that you can do, do it. You see, this person, we call them third party because you're the first party, your opponent is the second party, and they seem like the objective third party. They're the observer. But in fact, they're not. They're on your team. So when you go to a political debate, the third party Confederate, who's actually on your team, they sit all throughout the audience. And when you say something, they just think it's the best. Oh, you're brilliant! And they're not so kind to your opponents. Also, when you are pilloried in the press, when the press says that you stink, they write letters and say, well, I went to the debate and here's what I saw. And that actually happened. When I was attending my debates, the local media was owned by the Toronto Star. And they were forever saying how blustery I was because I would call out the other candidates. I called them out on their record. They actually compared me to a WWE wrestler. And so my third-party Confederates, and I had a team of them, they flooded the local newspaper with letters to the editor. There were so many, they had to publish a few of them. And so that's something that you can do. You can also do it on social media. You need to be the support, but it's the support behind the scenes. It's like, I was at the debate and I saw this. Third-party Confederate. Organize a little one-person protest. I've got somebody here right there. Do you know Billboard Chris? Hands up if you've heard of him. He has been the most successful one-person protest in the history of North America. He is almost single-handedly bringing exposing radical gender ideology one person at a time. But because what he's doing is so outlandish, he gets media coverage all the time. And because he's so hated by his opposition, it suddenly becomes very watch-worthy on social media, watching him interact. So you don't have to be part of a political campaign to be a one-person protest. Now, you have to have a particular disposition to do this, but you don't have to be controversial. You don't have to be confrontational. You just have to be willing to stand your ground and say what you believe is true. I've done it myself. So this is me. I won't go into all the details. There was going to be a lecture at my university. It was not going to be telling the truth. I stood outside the lecture hall with my sign. If you're only provided one side, it's indoctrination, not education. Do you wonder what else you're not being taught? My colleague who was doing the lecture didn't appreciate it. The truth sometimes need to be said. So, and I had my studies in my hand to counteract everything he was saying. He's saying this, here's the facts. I asked the students as they were going in, I had my name tag on, I said, would you like to hear the other side? They thought it was so novel, yeah, I would. During the lecture, they spent the time reading my stuff instead of listening. I was grateful. Now, I was not popular. One time, as I said, I was running for political office. I parked my van with a sign on it outside of the political convention for the Conservatives. And I said, Conservatives, your bold choice is David M. Haskell. That was my website. Snap a pic of this URL and check out your PPC. So everybody going to the convention, because it was such a novelty, you're all taking pictures of my van in the sun. And our website traffic went through the roof. They still didn't vote for me. Just so you know. But this can be used in other ways, if you're bold enough. What about a t-shirt? How about just a t-shirt? T-shirts as Christian political activism. this happened in Minnesota. A man was ordered to remove his "Jesus is the only way" t-shirt at the Mall of America. I think that we need to normalize our beliefs and get it out into society, and one way to do it is to wear it on our bodies. And you all need Jesus, by the way. So I'll sometimes wear that when I'm walking through my public university. Another more conventional means of smaller political activism is to do a delegation. Do a delegation before your local council or before your local school board. What you want to make sure to do, though, is to let your local media know that you're delegating. You're always trying to amplify your message. Anytime you do anything, when I did the van stunt, I contacted the local media. I said, I'm going to be doing this, so that they'd cover it. It was amplified. I did my own video of me standing in front of my van, and then I published it to social media, so it was amplified. When I did my protest outside the lecture hall, I videotaped myself. I took pictures of myself. I posted it to Twitter and Facebook, and it went viral. The media won't always come to your aid. They're not always going to cover your story, but now we have the advantage that we can post it ourselves. And if the content is controversial enough, it'll get picked up. It's not a bad idea to also contact those who are like-minded, who might have a greater social media following, and say, I did this. Could you give it a boost? Very often that'll work for you too. So if you do the school board meeting, or if you do the trustee meeting, if you are before city council, videotape it yourself as well, and then post it. Let the media know. Give them a copy of what you're going to say. You can create a website. If you've got an issue, create a website. When I was assisting on a campaign for local trustees who were going to take gender ideology out of the schools. And this mysterious anonymous website appeared in our region. And it was an expose about all of the corruption that had happened in our school board. And it caused such a controversy that for 2 weeks, the local media kept covering it and kept drawing more and more eyes to it. We only got 3 of our trustees of 11 elected, but we got 3. And I think a large part of that was because the local media kept telling the citizens about the website and how terrible it was. And I'm sorry, I don't know who did the website, but whoever did, that's what happened to them. You can write a public letter. This is probably the easiest form of political activism, where you write a public letter. It's to an organization and you rebuke them. It's better if you have more people. If everyone at your church signed a public letter because a particular public school was taking a particular stand against a particular group of students, or a university, or a business, a public letter. But don't leave it at that. Send it to the media. They may cover it. Or post it to your own website. But get some eyes on it. I do that a lot at my own university. I write a lot of public letters, and then I get it published. Sometimes I send it to the media. Sometimes the media will cover it. My university had said that all of our campus was systemically racist. I asked them for the proof, and I showed them, and then I showed them empirically why they couldn't be right, by the way. And these things have effect, but it's not always positive. Because I'll tell you that I now have a fan club. And the fan club is called WLU Changes Do. WLU is Wilfrid Laurier University. WLU Changes Do, they're dedicated to getting me fired. I now have students who take my classes specifically to entrap me. I had one who brought a human rights complaint against me. Again, I really do love everybody. I really do. Christ has been good. So it makes it a lot easier when I have to rebuke this stuff. But the process is the punishment. And so, I'll leave you with this. You need to be politically active. And it is going to cost you. But you're commanded by Christ. And blessed are you when you're persecuted. And you will feel the joy. Thanks, friends.